What's up guys, it's CG. So this is going to be a thorough review of Haltane by the house of Parfums de Marly. First I'm going to give you guys a rundown so you have a general idea what the fragrance is about. Then I'm going to share how users rated the scent profile and the performance. My wife and I are going to share our impressions of it. And finally I'm going to share my overall opinion after wearing it. Without further ado, let's get this started. So this has that saffron sweetness that characterizes fragrances like Baccarat Rouge, Oud for Greatness, Torino 22. What makes this one its own thing is it's got this really classy vibe to it with a soapiness and almost like a pine tree style greenness to it. So it's just this really clean, soapy, woody, saffron sweet, masculine fragrance. I think it's very classy, very wearable, and I think it's excellent. Very well done. The top notes are bergamot, lavender, clary sage. The heart notes have saffron, cedarwood, praline, oud wood. The base notes have patchouli, vetiver, musk, leather, and natural agar wood. As far as how much users like the scent, it received an average rating of an 8.2. 73% of voters gave it an 8 or above, and only about 1 out of 10 people would give it a 6 or lower. If you look at the rating distribution, it's not a very polarizing fragrance. Seems a lot of people really like this one. A lot of people would give it an 8 or a 9. Personally, I would give it a 10. I think this is probably one of the greatest fragrances ever released by Parfums de Marly. I just think it's very wearable, classy, and it really fits the style of fragrances that I look for. For longevity, it got an average rating of an 8.3. Almost 90% of voters would give it an 8 or above, so pretty much everybody agrees. It doesn't have bad performance. Personally, I would give it an 8. I think it has good performance. I don't think it's the best, but I think it's definitely good and better than average. As far as projection, it received an average rating of an 8. 8 being the most common score. Half of users would give it an 8, and I'm in agreement with the majority here. I would give it an 8. I think it creates a really nice scent bubble. It lasts a good amount of time, and I think that the scent profile is amazing, but I don't think it has the best performance of anything out there. That being said, the way it produces a nice scent bubble for a good amount of time, it feels very wearable. Like it's not going to really, force this fragrance on people that are standing next to you. So Haltane, I think, is one of the best Parfums de Marly definitely out there. And if I were to show somebody the house of Parfums de Marly and they were more mature of age, like in their 30s and up, I think Haltane would be one of the first that I would show them to get into the house, because of how classy it is. It's also very unique. It's very well done. It's very well blended. It's everything good. And the performance on it, I'm not going to say it's like nuclear, like totally suffocating, but I think it has really good performance. So everything about Haltane lines up for me as one definitely worth trying from the house. And I think it's the most underrated. And probably, if I'm trying to look at it objectively, I would say it's probably the best Parfums de Marly has ever done. So what I get from this is, people are going to compare this to Baccarat Rouge or Oud for Greatness a lot. And the way that these are all compared is a certain blending that makes saffron with a bit of sweetness. And you just know it when you smell it. Like you can't unsmell it. Now, I'm one of those people that finds Baccarat Rouge very feminine. But I always kind of wanted to have something with that type of saffron sweetness that I could wear as a male. Oud for Greatness came out and I was like, okay. Never really felt it that much, but I liked it, and it was at least a way to wear that kind of profile and have it be very masculine. But then Haltane came out and it just blew Oud for Greatness out of the water for me. So the scent profile of Haltane, for me, it's pretty linear, but it's also very complex and it has a lot of depth to it. But I wouldn't say that from the opening to the dry down, the fragrance changes a whole lot. Like what I get from throughout, just the vibe to me is the most important thing to portray up front, because to me this is a very vibe fragrance, and the vibe I get is just a classy, clean, masculine, woody fragrance. Like I can't emphasize that enough. This goes into that category of like green Irish tweed, gentle fluidity silver. I would also say Dior Homme Intense, just that really classic, clean vibe. Almost like for somebody a bit more mature, somebody that works a professional job, somebody that maybe wears suits more often than not. People that are just even into, like me, I don't really fit any of those descriptions, but I just like classy, clean fragrances. Like that's my thing. Like I feel like there's something that any male that's more mature can really pull off. Like if you're in your early 20s, It might be too mature for you, but classic clean is a vibe, and I can't emphasize enough how much Haltane is that for me. Just feels so classic. Like very few fragrances embody that as well as Haltane does. As far as the scent profile, like I said, you get that sweet saffron Baccarat Rouge kind of profile, but what I get with this is like pine tree soap as well. That's the only way I could describe it. If you can imagine that sweet saffron, and then around it is almost like a soapiness, and there's almost a greenness to it that for me it reminds me of pine trees. Just like a really fresh, classy, woody saffron, pine tree-like scent profile. But ultimately it just comes out as a classy, clean, nice, soapy male fragrance that has woodiness and saffron in it that's really just complementing the whole profile. Where I disagree with a lot of people on Haltane from what I've read is people say it's just strictly cold weather only. I don't agree with that. I think Haltane can be worn in the fall. I think it could be worn even in the spring. I actually think it could be worn in the day or the night. That's just me thinking for myself here. Like I could look at other people and say, okay, I could see how you see that, but at the end of the day, when I ask myself that question honestly, I don't see it the same way. I think Haltane is pretty versatile. I think it leans a bit formal, more than casual. That being said, I don't think you couldn't wear it casually. I just don't think it's a fragrance I'd wear on a beach day or like on a day where I'm going to like the amusement park. It's really not that for me, but it could be worn relatively casually in my opinion. Compared to Oud for Greatness, for me Haltane just feels way more complete. It feels like finished. Oud for Greatness, people will say it's more challenging, and I get that, and I like more challenging fragrances, but to me Oud for Greatness doesn't feel intentionally challenging. It almost feels like something that is left undone. Now, I know a lot of people prefer Oud for Greatness to Haltane. I'm just sharing my honest personal opinion. Haltane feels more rounded, and what makes Oud for Greatness more challenging to me is almost like a dirtiness, almost like a mineral wood smell, and the blend just doesn't really work as well altogether for me. Also, the projection of Oud for Greatness is so strong, and it's also kind of challenging. It just feels harder to pull off. I would say Oud for Greatness also feels more of a cold weather scent, nighttime scent, wearing black kind of scent, where Haltane feels like way more wearable in more situations, easy to pull off. The projection isn't so strong. I actually feel it's office friendly in a lot of things that Oud for Greatness isn't, so it's kind of hard to compare the two fragrances. And I also feel they smell very different from each other, and it would not be redundant to have both of them. But for me, I'm not really a big fan of Oud for Greatness, but Haltane was worth having. There's also Torino 22, which I'd say is more in that ballpark of Haltane, in the sense they both have that saffron sweetness, masculine Baccarat Rouge kind of style going. I've been back and forth on which one I like more, to be honest, but really I just like them equally. They're different enough to not be redundant to me. I think Haltane has a much better value. You get 125 mils for basically the same cost as like a 50 mil of the Xerjoff, so you get 2.5 times more. You can find splits a lot cheaper. I just honestly, overall, I'd be more upset if Haltane went away than Torino 22. That being said, if you really like Haltane or you really like Torino 22, each one is worth trying. Definitely if you haven't. Point it right.
Okay, so what I feel is that there's a lot more soapiness on this one, on this side. And the other side was like more woody and not as soapy. So it feels like almost like two different scents.
They're different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty different.
Parfums de Marly Haltane. This is a softer, more clean fragrance. It smells to me like clean laundry or clean laundry sheets. Really classic and yeah, really classic. It does make me think of somebody older, maybe like 30s and up. And since it's so soft, it makes me think that this is more like a cozy up fragrance, like inside at night, you know, after your shower, you wear it just to feel great. Yes, this would work for that. Because I don't feel like it will have a lot of projection. It smells really soft. But it is really good. So it's worth it for somebody to snuggle up to you to smell this. It's a 7.
Does it remind you of Baccarat Rouge at all?
Yes, it does remind me of Baccarat Rouge.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. It's like a more masculine version of Baccarat Rouge. But it smells softer to me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So my overall opinion of Haltane is it's for me. I might get a bottle in the future. I have a split to get me through the winter. If I was rich and I had a ton of money and could just buy a bottle of whatever I want, trust me, I would have a bottle of Haltane. Unfortunately, I'm not rich, but yeah, Haltane's for me. It's definitely worth trying, definitely worth having for a lot of people out there. And I think it's probably the best from Parfums de Marly. Feel free to comment with y'all's opinions, subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.